And we are live. Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. This is this week's host, Henry Wind. You can find me on Twitter at Henry Wind. Dubs, what is up, bro? What is that?
How you doing, fellas?
Why you got a bag on your head, bro?
A little embarrassed to be here today. It's good to see you, boys.
It's a great day.
So for those of you who are not watching this, but you're listening, Doves has a paper bag over his head right now, which, as a Manchester United fan, I understand that. I definitely understand that feeling, but I did not expect that.
That's unreal.
That was not how he joined this call.
It took me, I will say, fellas, I looked every nick and cranny of this house to find a paper bag, but I found one.
And what I'm saying is, like, you cut out an eye hole. Like, you had to commit to this bit. You knew what you were doing.
It was supposed to be a mouth hole, and then I realized that I wouldn't be able to click the button, so it became an eye hole.
Well, I'd ask how you're doing, but I feel like this is like a pretty good indication of how you're doing.
Connor Shadorby, happy to be here. Let's get it going, fellas.
Let's get it going. Andy Hoover, how we doing, big guy?
Hey, man, I'm good. I'm the only person on this pod that has any points in the last 48 hours, so that's cool. In the last 24 hours, you didn't even play.
Oh, 24. I mean,
Yeah.
Sorry, we played 48 hours ago.
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't follow
I
your
lied.
schedule.
It was Friday. No.
All right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't.
Yeah, so
me.
fuck
I got
you,
stats.
Lucas.
I got stats.
Sorry, I'm not used to it because we're always like this weekend.
Right,
as a whole,
right.
not-
We're in the time warp of the holiday fixture season. So we all have two games I do think that happened since the last pod, which for better or for worse, that's sweet. But yeah, hey, sun was shining today. I woke up on the right side of the bed, got a good workout in. You know, my family's great, my friends are great. Got to spend a lot of good time with them over the holiday period. And Spurs can't take that from me. So I'm good though, for real. Young Yid on Twitter. It's been it's just a tough time right now for a lot of folks on the podcast. So I have a lot more of an excuse, I think, but we'll get to that. Happy to be here.
I hate Monday games. You've had some time to like sit with your feelings. We're coming off of an hour and 15 minutes post match right now for the United boys. So yeah. I'm glad to hear you're doing well.
Thanks,
I
man.
am not in that same boat. Last but certainly not least, Mr. I have points in the last 24 hours. Lucas Winkleman, how you doing?
Time is irrelevant.
It's fake. It's Fugazi. It's
Fugazi. No, what's up, boys? Yeah. Merry belated Christmas. Yeah, doing really well too. Waiting on the doc to call me back. Actually, I'm gonna be donating my hamstring to our right winger. So just waiting to hear back to see if we're a match in any way.
Selfless. Appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, Dobes, you're muted, but I appreciate it.
Taking one for the team.
Yeah.
I think he said while he was muted he would donate his too. I think that's what I read from.
I actually asked if your hammy came with or without a limp.
Honestly, with my the amount of flexibility I have in my hamstrings,
both of my legs are coming with a limp or something, right?
My hammies are about as tight as a violin cord, so you just flick it, ping. But no, I'm solid too. Yeah, had to drive down south a little bit this morning to get my car inspected, and was supposed to have an appointment at 8 a.m. Showed up like a few minutes early, got down there. The owner walked out. He's like, "Oh, hey, one of our mechanics left the machine on, so we can't do it today anymore." I was like, "Brother, I woke up so much earlier than I needed to, drove all the way down there, but then ended up meeting one of my buddies over at those slough fields right across the street from Narwhals, and
yeah."
We kicked around and caught up a little bit, so that was
good.
Stretched the legs out a little bit. So good to see you guys.
I pinged those fields yesterday. I made them my bitch. I covered every inch of that turf yesterday morning.
Hen the six.
And by covering every inch of the turf, I meant I sat in the center circle and just sprayed balls right and left.
Wow,
as we come to the conclusion of 2024, what a year of footy it's been. From January 1 to December 31st, it has kept us engaged through the entire year. I'm glad to see it come to an end. We had some highs, we had some lows, but you know what, fellas? We keep moving through this fandom that we have. We're coming off of, for the majority of us, a double game weekend. or week rather, as Lucas alluded to earlier. We're starting off with the Boxing Day fixtures. Convenient, I will say, that for as high and as lovely and as mighty as the boys in blue of the Chelsea Football Club have been all year long, for Nikki just not even to show up to this pod coming off of double losses back to back is kind of sus. It's a little weird, no statement, no acknowledgement, but Chelsea just can't get it done. Now's our time to take our shots at them while they're gone, but it looks like the $1 billion squad isn't the solution as we thought it was, and Nottingham Forest instead is the blueprint on how to build successful teams. So who knows? The Nottingham Forest spent $1 billion like two years ago, but I don't know. Makes no sense. But we move to Tottenham Hotspurs on a 1-0 loss to Nottingham Forest.
Before I even get into this one, I would like to throw out the "we're not in a title race" comment has ended rather quickly. That has come to the end before December or before January. So, I'm sure they have nothing to worry about.
Isn't that just about as long as Arsenal's dynasty talks lasted before the end of December?
So that's kind of funny. I just like watching other teams from London lose, so that's super fun for me. But no, you know what, boys? I knew that Forest were going to beat Tottenham in my soul, 1-0. Nuno Espirito Santo, whatever his name is, and the low mid defensive structure that they play. They've done it all year, and they've done it really well. They're above Arsenal. They're in second place right now. So, at the end of the day, you lose 1-0 away from home to the second place team in the table. You still want to. Like, it's still not like a full-blown excuse. The excuses are going to come from me today, though. One of them being, dude, like 7 of those guys have played 90 minutes 3 times in a week. Like, in 10 days, some of these guys have had to suit up and play 90 minutes. Kulusevski, Solanke, whoever the hell we have available on defense. So, look, it sucks. It's stupid. We've got so many people out. And again, injury bug, yes, I get it. It's tough to hang your hat on. But, like, I come back to it every week. We've seen what happens when they do have a healthy squad. We gave up 9 goals in 9 games. No, I think it's 9 goals in 10 games with Mickey Van de Ven and Romero. We've given up like 17 and 8 with Dragoshin and Archie Gray. So, like, the stats they're just in your face. Dragoshin is not the guy that, he's not a Mickey Van de Ven replacement. I think he could be a Romero step in down the road. But
that's what I was wondering. Like, could he be a step in? Like, I just feel like every single time he plays, he's always partnered next to a guy that also doesn't play. Right. So it's like,
yeah.
How many times have we said on this podcast, like, you're only as good as your center back partner?
Right.
Like, that's it.
And seriously, dude, all you have to do to beat Tottenham is get a ball in a cross field diagonal ball, and that's where you miss Mickey Van de Ven. Like, genuinely the only player on the pitch that has the pace to be able to catch up to those long balls, and he does it all the time. But now you're seeing it exposed over and over. Quick up back through to Elanga where Archie Gray and Dragoshin were never going to get close to him, and he tucked it away. And then they didn't have to do too much else. They sat in their block. They defended really, really well. These guys are gassed, man. They just don't have – you could even see it in the Wolves game. I don't know if we're going to do a double – just to hit them both and then, roll.
Fuck it, dude.
So the Wolves game, yeah. So Nottingham Forest, honestly, I just knew it was going to happen, and they've been playing really well. They're in crazy form. The guys that we had available are gassed. Whatever. Wolves are not that good. Wolves are considerably worse. But it's something of the same thing. They were starting to put together really good chances. A couple opportunities that I feel they should have tucked early. Sonny missing a penalty fucking sucks, dude. Sucks. That one hurts. But then it's like, we're holding on to this 2-1 win. Spurs were the better team for 87 minutes of that game. And then you're watching Solanke and Kulusevski. Timo Werner can't keep the ball on his foot when he comes in from the bench. Like the press was not
Sure
realistic. Like there were no ability to press in the last 20 minutes. And I do think Ange has some weight to bear on some of his substitutions and decisions on that one. But like he's got limited options. And then it really was the result of can't step to the ball fast enough. Another up back through, slipped pass. And frankly, the finish Wolves had in the 87th was disgusting. That was a crazy finish. But, like, I mean, like, you know, at one point, on one hand, it's like you came away with a point. You should always be beating Wolves at home. You know, you guys would say the same thing, and it didn't happen for you either. It's just super disappointing being up a majority of the game, coming from down 1 in the 7th minute or 13th minute or something, answering quickly, you know, missed pen, goal right after, and start really well in the second half. But then these guys are just they've got nothing in the gas tank.
Yeah, they got nothing.
And it's evident if you watched any of the end of that game, you know, they just couldn't keep moving. So where do you draw? Where do you blame? What do you do? Even if Ange isn't the guy, how can we just step into this 18-month cycle of getting a new manager? Like, yeah. I'm not questioning him by any means yet. There are a lot of people that are. Get him out, sack him, get Edin Terzic in. What the fuck has Edin Terzic done that decides that he could take the current squad of Spurs players and do literally anything better? It just doesn't make sense to keep doing this cycle and keep going back and forth with a new manager. Like, Nuno's in second place with the Nottingham Forest squad. He was never going to find second place with the Tottenham Hotspur side. It's just the team was set up differently. They didn't have the players that, you know, he comes in with a fresh set crop of guys that, you know, he just needs to get to work together. It was just never going to work for Spurs. As soon as he subbed off Lucas Moura for Bergwijn. I don't even remember. I've got too many Bergs on this team now. Yeah.
Little throwback.
Dude, as soon as he subbed him off and we were down a goal and Lucas Moura was the only bright spot on the pitch, everyone was like, this guy's a full-blown idiot. Like, and we could see it. But that he wanted to play defensive, and that's what it was. And now he's doing it really well. It just wouldn't have worked at Spurs. So where do you go from here? I think you back the guy. I think you try and get some players in. I think Grealish being on loan from Man City would... God, dude, I'm better than Timo Werner. What do you mean Grealish isn't scored in a calendar year? I could care less. I do think Ange ball suits him really well. It may be a chance to get his spark back so that, you know, he used to drive at players. That was his thing. Now he cuts back and finds KDB in the middle and, you know, hopes for a slipped through ball. But, like, I want genuinely anyone, like any sort of reinforcements. You know, the transfer window starts 2 days. Anything, bro. Like, we're starting Archie Gray, a center defensive mid at center back. Radu Dragusin, who got hurt a week ago and is playing on a bad ankle, is mid at best. His agent shut the hell up real quick, complaining about lack of playing time. your client can't find a pass out of the back to save his life. So, you know, it sounds like Destiny Dougie just went down with a pulled hamstring. He's probably out for another couple of weeks. We're back to Serge Reguilon. In the year 2025, our Lord, Serge Reguilon is overlapping Timo Werner on the left side for Tottenham Hotspur. What are we doing, brother? What are we doing? That's what we're relying on?
I mean, genuinely, you need reinforcements so badly. And I know that we've been saying it for weeks, but it doesn't matter who the manager is.
No.
It doesn't. That is not the solution. Like, I mean, in order to be competitive in the Premier League, you have to have a squad who can, one, stay healthy, two, is serviceable on any given day, and then to win the Premier League, you have to have that in a supreme amount of talent. Like, and unfortunately, like, you're not in the position to be talking about winning the Premier League. We, Manchester United, are not in the position to be talking about winning the Premier League. Like, we just have to stay consistent, and both of our squads right now like need those reinforcements, and that's really all you can set your eyes on. So what the fuck is the point of talking about the manager whenever you can't field an 18 consistently that have enough in the tank to compete at that level. So it's just, I mean, there are freaks of nature that can play every minute of every game, and they don't need that rotation, but the vast majority of players do need rotation, and you need to be serviceable on that day. And Tottenham doesn't have it right now.
No.
Would you rather be in that position that you're in now, or be in a position like Chelsea where you do have that depth of healthy players
always,
and still can't do it?
But the thing
I'd rather
is
be
if
in
you,
top 4 than 11th.
If you have the depth,
slippery slope.
I think the thing is like, if you have the depth and you have the players who can play and have a good enough IQ, that's where the manager can get the best out of the players and tweak a couple of things and do whatever, and then they can execute that. But what we're seeing is like the manager is kind of like a mute point right now, where Spurs, like, say all you want, like, I mean, Hoove, you said it at the beginning of you talking, like, when you have a fully healthy 11 or a fully healthy, like, let's say 16 with subs, Ange Ball is electric, and it gets results too. It's not like you win every single game, but like you can see it in the way that you play, and the guys are doing what they need to. But you throw any other guy in there, they can't be a 1-for-1 replacement.
Right.
Like, and we're seeing that, with Spurs, and we're seeing it with a lot of guys. And that's where you can point at people like, Pochettino with Chelsea. He couldn't get the best out of that. Graham Potter couldn't get the best out of those Chelsea players, but Maresca's figured it out. So would you say that Maresca is a better coach or a better manager for that group of 26 bloated players? Absolutely. He's a better manager than them. So if it were me, like, I would rather be dealing with Chelsea's problems of having too many guys and the luxury of people being frustrated about playing time versus what Tottenham have right now, which is like, you don't even know who the fuck is going to be on the bench. Like, you have no idea.
18-year-olds on the bench right now.
No idea.
And the one thing, too, about that's a little bit... the United and the Spurs fans are going through a little bit of some of the same stuff, but I do think I'd rather even be in a position of where I'm at, where Ange knows what's going to fit into the style. Ange knows the players and the profiles and would be able to, albeit, whether or not the ownership's going to help him do this at all, he could bring these reinforcements in, and then we know how the style is going to play. And we know that a majority of the players that are on the team can play in that style, whereas you guys, you need reinforcements just as desperately, but they're going to be massive tactical adjustments. Like, you're already trying to learn a style with a current set of players that weren't built for the style that's been inherited. So that's a whole different level of, ground up restructuring. So silver linings at the end of the day, we've got a lot of really young talent, which is sick, super cool. Young talent's not going to come drag you out of 11th, halfway through the season. So, that's where I hope the adjustment comes from. Like you said, Grealish would be a leader immediately too. England international, like, that's not what we have on the pitch at all. Sonny's dead. The rest of that team aren't necessarily built-in leaders, and Archie Gray's my center back, brother. Like, that's just not, and he's got a lot of leadership qualities, I think, himself, but like, it just can't be him. It can't be him. It can't be those guys. It can't be Lucas Bergvall. It's just aggravating. Like, at this point, like, the people are all Ange out, and I'm sick of seeing it just because nothing changes. Nothing's going to change.
Yeah. It's a really dangerous place to be in as a fandom.
And we're in a semifinal of a tournament who, again, may get absolutely clobbered by Liverpool. But I hope they just piss it away and don't take it seriously, and we could maybe sneak one through. But, Newcastle up next. We're going to get clobbered there. Low hopes. Low hopes for the Spurs. Still in the Europa League, though. Still in the automatic through places. Like, there's...
You guys are in literally the same 3-game spin cycle that we're in right now. You're like, we got Wolves, Liverpool, and Newcastle, and you have the exact same three.
Literally the exact same. I will say, I hope Grealish goes there. I think that would be such a good fit.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
I think it'd be so nice. At the end of the day, like, he doesn't have that many years left of being able to play at his peak. So he's got to decide, do I want to stay at City? Do I, what's it going to be? It's clear that, he's not the guy at City right now. Not that anyone is, but he definitely is not. So whether it's Tottenham or back to Villa or whatever it may be, like, I just think that would be a hell of a signing. So trying times for the Spurs fandom out here. Winks, let's go over to you, the other side of London, or the other side of North London, I should say. You only had one game in this fixture week because I think you play tomorrow or Wednesday. You actually play Wednesday, yeah. You play Wednesday to kick off the new year, but you had a 1-0 showing against Ipswich, which, as we learned today, tough team to play. Shout out Chelsea one time. So a 1-0 result, you have to be happy with 3 points here.
Yeah, this is like it's funny because when any of our teams lose to a team like Ipswich, a bottom 3 team, I think that there's a lot more to talk about. But then when you're the ones who win, it's like it's tougher to dissect because you're playing a team that just shouldn't be in this league. We were dominant in every category. It was extremely one-sided. I'm pretty sure Saliba came close to beating to having more passes than the entire Ipswich team did in that game for a while there in the first half. I could have seen us breaking a Premier League possession record or passes record or whatever it was, but yeah, defensively really strong, as it should have been against this team that, like I said, is inevitably gonna get relegated unless Chelsea and Spurs keep handing them 3 points. So,
did you guys have like 87% possession in the first half?
Something like that. It
ended
was
with like 72.
They had 57 passes, I think, total. Ipswich did in the first half.
Yeah, just and it was probably like building out of the back, like 2 or 3 passes, and then
it was like going to center back.
Yeah. But do I think we look super dangerous in attack? We had a few other moments that could have easily made it 3 or 4-0, but generally, absolutely fucking not. Do I already miss Bukayo Saka? Absolutely fucking yes. Seeing Martinelli play on the right, like the threat that he provides is a lot more, I think, one-dimensional than Saka's. I think that the relationships that Martinelli has on the right side is obviously nothing compared to Bukayo Saka, and that's not to his own fault, the relationships piece, just because he doesn't play over there. But miss him with my whole heart, and like I said at the beginning, would happily give him one of my hamstrings if he needed it, as probably would most of the Arsenal fan base at this moment.
Getting surgery on your hamstring, by the way, is like not a small thing.
Yeah,
that is.
But he's supposed to be back in March, which is like 14 to 16 games. But I don't know. He's young. Those guys got something in their water over there.
Some of this is just him having to play too many games, not just for Arsenal, yes, for Arsenal, but England too. Like, yeah. And you guys don't have anyone else for Arsenal to play on that right side, so it's like he kind of has
nobody that we're as confident in or trusting of.
And I'll give you, Winks, I'll give you that too. When we were making wish lists not all that long ago, you were like, we need another right winger because what if something like this were to come up? And boom, here you are, and now you're
instead of playing the guy that we technically signed to play right wing when Saka can't, we moved our starting left winger over to the right. Like that's a problem in my opinion. Like it's a good problem to have that we're deep enough at left wing to be able to push somebody over there. But at the end of the day, I don't want a left winger playing right wing. I want a right winger playing right wing. So yeah, I think the other thing, Saka definitely does this thing where he kind of makes defenders think twice about what he's going to do. Like I said, Martinelli's a fairly one-dimensional player. And even lately, in spurts this season, he's sometimes even been zero-dimensional. Like his one strongest suit, I think we talked about it a couple podcasts ago, but his strongest, asset is his speed, and he just hasn't been using that nearly as much to go to the touchline, as he did last season or the season before, but especially last season. So he's become even less of a, sort of one-dimensional player in that way. But then you throw him on the right side, and it just gets, even worse. He didn't look abysmal by any means, but when you're used to seeing Saka over there, and on top of that, combining with Odegaard and obviously not Ben White, but usually Ben White, this is just way different. So I think if you look at it and you can kind of compare it to that Liverpool-Leicester game the day before, like both of our teams should have won that game. We did, but Liverpool just have killers, man, and we don't have killers. And there's a lot of different ways you can look at this team and look at ways to improve it. But regardless of what positions, Arteta and the team over there decide as far as players to sign, I just hope that one aspect of those players, again, regardless of position, is that they have that killer mentality, because I think that's something that's missing. I also think that we definitely play a very different style. We control the ball a lot more, and in
it's
a
very
different
pretty
way.
style.
It is.
Whereas Liverpool's like the siege, fuck
we're
you.
We're more fluid, and that's our style, and that's great. But I think like a big unlock for us is like finding a little bit of balance without getting too far away from our our main strategy in that control. Obviously, that all out balls to the wall, attack works for Liverpool. I don't think that style would work for us, but I still think we're missing that sort of killer piece in the final third, especially. So we'll see what happens. But I also, before we move on, wanted to shout out Lewis Skelly. He played his first full 90 against Ipswich, which I didn't fully know if he would or not, because Calafiore, I think, is back from his knock. But I think it's cool that, even though it was Ipswich, Arteta trusts him, and I thought he stood out. Great attitude, great player, so I'm excited for him to continue to get more minutes. But defensively looked really good as well. So yeah, we're
highest rated player in that game.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he did really well.
Do you I mean, the Saka injury could have changed your thoughts, because why wouldn't it? But what about January for you all? Do you feel like you're going to go out and get depth at the right wing position? Are you still going to try to sign a striker? Like, I don't know. I just feel like, to your point about that mentality, that killer instinct, if you could sign a striker that was that, like, I think of, even though we've given him endless amounts of shit over the last couple of weeks, like that Holland mentality of like, I'm going to get on the end of these crosses, I'm going to do the thing. Like, I just think that it'd be so dangerous. And you could almost mask the right wing position not being fully there if you could just feed that striker balls. And Gyökeres at Sporting, that's a big one, but I don't know if it's going to be a January thing or the summer. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, him, Sesko, we've been linked to for a long time. Isak, there's those two or three guys I'd be fine with any of them. In a perfect world, we get a little bit of both. Don't know if that's going to happen or not.
You're looking for a striker who can also play right wing?
Yeah, naturally.
Marcus Rashford?
Do I have a guy for you?
Timo Werner. You ever heard of him?
Richarlison. You can take him. 40 mil, no problem.
Let's go.
It's all you.
That's a little steep.
Get him out of there.
That's a little steep, but
He's scored a bicycle kick in the World Cup. People forget. People forget.
People forget, bro.
Two Brazilians on your front line is plenty for my liking. But no, yeah, we'll see what happens in January. It's especially with Edu leaving. Like, I don't know what to expect, because they obviously trusted him a lot, and I think the Declan Rice signing was like proof of that. Our first massive signing since Pepe, really, and we saw how that went that time. So yeah,
I guess on the flip, like a silver lining here, if you're looking for it, is that while Edu like didn't splash the cash, maybe like you would have wanted, him being gone could open up the door for you to do that. Like, because he doesn't have that block of like, we're not going to spend that kind of money on that kind of player. who knows? Whoever's in charge now, I don't even know who's calling the shots over there when it comes to that stuff. But they could say like, "Hey, we need a 9," and they could be like, "All right, fuck it. We have those 3 guys that you just mentioned that are available." Jacques would be nuts. Isak is also disgusting, and he could fill, on the wing, or he could play down the middle. But I don't know.
I don't need somebody, in my opinion, that can play both positions. I want an out and out strike. I don't want my Kai Havertz to have to play attacking midfield.
Yeah,
I don't want my Gabby Jesus to have to play right wing. I want somebody to do their fucking job in the position that we signed them to play. So that would be super.
You get a striker. You could even go to a 2-striker system and do a diamond in the middle. If you really get that desperate for wingers. But I don't know. I think this Saka injury, we've been talking about it forever, about how delicate that is. It just goes to show,
fucking sucks.
In order for you to make a run at the Premier League title, because this is the Arsenal team that challenged City all year long, and they didn't really, there's a couple of reinforcements. Timber is basically a new signing this year because he was out all last year, and you got Calafiori. But this is the same team, and when you lose some big guys, or when there are some injuries in the lineups, they can't go toe to toe at the top of the table. It's just, there has to be this perfect blend of you're playing really well and you're firing on all systems, and you have to be lucky to stay away from injuries. Otherwise your whole season can get derailed.
Yeah,
brutal.
Sure can.
And honestly, looking at our, first 2 months of games, I don't hate our schedule. It could definitely be worse. I wish it was more like, Liverpool's season schedule up until, a couple weeks ago when they started playing top half of the table teams. But I think there's a fair amount of them that I'm still extremely confident we can take 3 points from. But of the 14 or 15 games, there's definitely a good third of them that I'm like, well, this is, if we don't have that offensive threat like we just talked about, and our left wingers playing right wing, then there's going to be some issues. I don't think we're going to have. If you're a betting man out there, or woman, the under in a lot of Arsenal games for the first 2 months of the year, I think are the take, because I don't think we'll let up a ton, but I also don't see us putting away a whole lot without that threat on the right. So
for sure. Speaking of not putting away a ton, let's talk about Manchester United, who have been shut out in back-to-back games at home. Also, back-to-back games at home. Connor Sindobri, we're coming off of 2 games in the Amorim era that have been less than exciting for us, and could leave Manchester United fans in a tizzy, as showcased in the Twitter world. So I'm curious of your thoughts on the Wolves game, coupled with your thoughts on the Newcastle game, and the overall state of your well-being at the moment.
Deep breath here, fellas. Deep breath. I think looking at the Wolves game, I think first off, when you look at both games together in a whole, a lot of the same mistakes, and even past those 2 games, this team has continuously made individual error after error after individual error, time and time again. The Wolves game is no different. Today's game, no different. I think the biggest concerning point for me is the fact of, and I feel like I'm a broken record when I'm going to say this, and the same thing goes for both games. It's kind of the same situation that Tottenham's in a little bit. It's like Amorim is a good manager. I still fully believe that Ten Hag's a good manager. I still fully believe that Ralph Rangnick's a good manager. The players are still the players at the same time, and what we've seen time and time again with this team is a mentality thing. It's the biggest issue that we currently have right now in Manchester United. It's not just 18 players that are on a roster at a game. You know what I mean? It's a full wide club issue, and we don't necessarily have to get into that too much today. But I think that's where all our problems are stemming from. It's a full club issue, and I think an interesting stat that I've seen, in terms of under the Emery era, in terms of when we've been successful, it's what we saw a lot of him at Sporting. It's when he has 2 available wing backs to use. Every single time, the last 9 goals that we have scored have come from either a Amad Diallo or an Antony at a wing back position, And we are forced, due to not having any actual wingbacks in our squad, to have to play a Delo and a Mazraoui and set up in such a defensive style. And I truly think it hurts us. There's no secret that this squad makeup is just strictly not good enough. I think the Wolves game, you have to give credit to Wolves. Like, I'll say this right now. Like, I watched Ant Nuri play against Spurs. Fucking unbelievable. Like, Matheus Cunha, fucking unbelievable. Like, they both have some, those both teams that we played both have some players that have really, really high quality that belong in the Premier League that, eventually make a move to somewhere else probably. But at the same time, Wolves coming to Old Trafford is one of those where, yes, they're a good team. We should be walking away with 3 points, right? 100% should be walking away with 3 points. Newcastle, obviously, they're in good form, but at the same time, the way that we started this game today, the first 20, 25 minutes, I mean this, is probably the worst bit of soccer that I've seen from Manchester United in the past decade. Like, the past decade. And the thing is both the goals were quite literally the exact same thing. Like, it was touch wide, cross, Harry Maguire, England international, played in a World Cup, doesn't mark. Sandro Martinez won a World Cup, played in a World Cup, doesn't mark. The second goal, you have Christian Eriksen standing atop a box marking nobody, Harry Maguire not marking nobody, Sandro Martinez not marking nobody, goal. I think the most concerning part about that is every single time that you watch those clips, not one of those three people opens their mouth. Like, nobody says a word. All three of them are sitting there silent. Like, not one of them says, hey, slide here, slide here. Like, if Martinez sees Isak in front of him and Maguire's there, like, yell something. Either say you drop or you have to take that man. And I think that's the problem we've seen with this team, is that the mentality is just, it's not there. And, I'm very prepared to, especially when we look more so at the Wolves game, but like, Bruno Fernandes deserves an absolute ton of criticism, like a ton of criticism, not just for the red card. The red card was as dumb as it could possibly be that early in the second half, especially when I thought that we definitely had a chance to come back and win that game if he didn't get sent off. But it's the same thing we see. It's that even when we do go down, Bruno as a captain has not lived up to what I think we all wanted him to be. He has the performances. He may have the stats sometimes, but I think what you see with the clubs that are higher up towards the top of the table is, like, look at Virgil van Dijk. It's like, if Liverpool goes down a goal, you don't even question for a second if they're going to try to find a way to get back in that game. And I think that's one of those where you see Bruno yelling and pointing to the left and pointing to the right. And I think you earn the responsibility to do that by the way that you play. And if he was playing like he was the best player on the team, he deserves the right to do that. But when you're not playing like the best player on the team and you're the captain, you need to lead by example. You need to put people in the right way. You need to bring them. You need to bring the momentum up for the whole entire group. And we don't have that from anybody. It's not just like it's a captain not doing it. We don't have that from a single player on the squad at this moment. And truthfully, I do feel for Ruben a ton. I'll say this forever. We could get relegated, and I'd still sit there and I'd back him. Not that I think that's going to happen, but I'd still sit there and back him. It's tough. I will say today, I straight up didn't agree with his starting lineup. I didn't agree with his subs. Like, I think we saw Xerxes get pulled today, and yes, we can talk about that a little bit if we want to, but why is he starting from the get-go? Like, why is he put in that position to – I think Xerxes is a good player. I think it's very unfair to judge a 20-something-year-old kid that has been in Manchester for 3 months in a new team on his second manager, playing a position that he's never played before. And then you ask him to sit there and step in that position and play in a midfield three with I wouldn't say one of the best midfield three in the league, but a very, very dynamic midfield three. And not only that, but partner with Casemiro and Eriksen, who might as well be clones when it comes to transition. Might as well be clones when it comes to transition. And so felt bad for him for him to get yanked off. And you saw instantly, I thought this was the best we've seen Kobe Manu play over the last few games. He drastically changed the game. And in the second half, you saw kind of a different team after we conceded 2 goals. We saw a drastically different team. And then he made another sub. And all of the momentum went away. And I'm not saying Casemiro was a world beater in the second half, but we had control. And he changed the game and put Eriksen back as a number 6. And the whole entire game changed. Newcastle got back into the game, and that was that. And I do think of some of that is we don't have a big enough squad. I don't know, fellas. It's tough to really see where we go from here. Not having a real left back kills us, but it's tough to see where we go from here. And truthfully, I don't think we're going to do anything in January. I really don't. I don't think we're going to do a single thing in January because we have to sell people in order to buy people. Unless we get rid of Rashford, then we may have a shot. But yeah, fellas, Liverpool and Arsenal next, so everything's looking up.
I think that's one of the most damning pieces of all this. I think today I was so disappointed in the team. There are so many players, and it's so odd. Like, I mean, we've been speculating forever that it's the players, it's the players, it's the players, and you can question different managers' tactics at different times. And certainly today, like Amarim starting the lineup that he started, but like maybe Manu wasn't fully fit. I don't know. Like he's been coming off the bench a lot recently. I don't know.
I do think the one excuse is the fact that we do play Liverpool at the weekend, and the fact he did start against Wolves. But even so, man,
yeah, but that's the thing. So it's like, what else does he do? Yeah. You look at the bench today, and I mean, don't get me wrong, we're not a bench full of 17-year-olds like Spurs. We're not. Some of those guys went for 100 million, Anthony, whatever. Like, it is what it is. But you're seeing manager after manager where like these guys aren't good enough. And it's so fascinating that, and maybe it's just because, you know, United, just like everyone else, have played, 6 games in the last month, and people have been able to analyze it because Ruben's new and everyone's looking at him. Now the media, even Tim Howard and Rebecca Lowe in the post-game show and the halftime show today were just basically like, if you're Ruben Amorim, I don't even know what you say to these players. Like, they can't do the job. Like, they're literally so blatantly calling it out that they're not good enough to do it. And it's really shocking that we're at the state of, you know, at different times. I think over the last couple of years, it's been, you know, banter to do like a joint 11, you know, Spurs United joint 11 or Arsenal United joint 11 or Liverpool United joint 11. Like, and some of them are crazy takes. Don't get me wrong. Like, some of them are not great, but like, you know, last year you have, you know, Diego Dalot playing out of his mind as a right back. And in those joint 11s, he's in a lot of those joint 11s. And right now in this current moment, there aren't too many joint 11s where Manchester United is dominating the 11 or really getting guys in right now. Like, I mean, you're looking at these positions. Wolves was damning in and of itself, that like you're looking at Wolves, who is literally in a relegation battle at the moment. And Cunha, we're talking about
baller.
Yeah, Cunha, ain't Nori, baller. Like Guedes, who is like that number 29, like playing that right-sided 10. Like, he's a dog too. And so you're looking at this in Manchester United squad is just so not up to it at the moment.
Hwang would start for you guys right now.
He would right now. And the thing is, it's like you're just seeing it all throughout the club that mentality is just not there. How many times have we said that managers' careers die there? But like, you see guys like Mazraoui, who came in and was a revelation in the Manchester United squad, that now has played the most shit 3 games of his Manchester United career, the last 3 games. And one, he's playing every minute of every game.
I was going to say, he hasn't got a break.
You know, like, there's that. But it's also like these simple mistakes, giving away the pen, sliding when you should never slide 2 games ago. So
yeah, that one was bad.
It's just, it's not there. And my fear is that when you look at it, and we really do have to sell players, like, it would be very simple right now for me to go through a keep and sell list of Manchester United, but who's going to buy them? You know, like, who's going to invest the 40 million in Marcus Rashford right now? I think Amorim sent a massive statement again today, you know, with not bringing Rashford on. I mean, it shocked a lot of fans that he was even on the bench, but a huge statement that Rashford doesn't even see the field, you know? And so a lot of people say like, hey, that's his last, you know, against Everton was the last time that we'll ever see him ever again in a Manchester United shirt. I feel really, really disheartened as a Manchester United fan right now. I don't know how to solve the squad without clearing out a lot of them. And you know that that's not going to happen in January. And yes, you can say that maybe with Bruno and Agarte and maybe we're more competitive. I do agree with that, and get Mount back, and sure, whatever. And who knows if Luke Shaw decides to be healthy the back half of the season, great. But like, you can't bank on players who are consistently getting injured. So I don't know what the fuck the solve is. And I found myself texting Dobes yesterday being like, hey, yo, by the way, we have an absolutely electric 16-year-old in our academy. So maybe in a couple of years, he'll be sick for the first team. Because that's really like all we have right now. Like, we don't have a lot. We have a lot of guys that were brought in to fit a completely different system that do not fit. I mean, I forgot Garnacho was on the field in the second half. Literally, I forgot he played in the second half at all because of how ineffective he was. And so, I don't know. I just think that there's a lot there. I think if you can make the sale of Rashford, if you can make the sale of Garnacho, even though I think Garnacho has a lot he can still bring to the team, I think if you make those two sales in January, you get, a lot of pure profit in, because both of those kids are academy kids, and I don't know. So I just feel a little bit dejected. I was semi-hopeful that we'd do something in January until Dobes decided to open his stupid fucking mouth, and so now I'm questioning if we're going to do anything at all.
Well, Amarim said it in the post-game press conference. It's the same position we've been in, and I do think that's the thing. It's the same position that Lucas is in with Arsenal. It's very tough to go take a very top quality player from their squad in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
does Sporting want to lose Gyökeres? Does Newcastle want to lose Isak? And I think the same goes for United. I think United has to. I do think we have to somehow get a left wing back. We have to. We absolutely have to. And I think one of the things that I was listening to Goldbridge afterwards, and it was just more of like a yes, we're all miserable together type thing, more than just me sitting staring at the wall in my home by myself. It's like the United has the second highest wage bill in the league.
Oh,
second highest wage bill in the league.
It's a damning
That's what I'm saying. To where I'm saying that there's still people that have the audacity on Twitter, and obviously it's just Twitter is Twitter, but saying that Amarim needs to change and Amarim's got to do this stuff. It's like Goldbridge opened up his thing today, and I kind of agree with him that
I've heard this one before.
Not even mad, not even anything. It's more so it's just more confirming that the stuff that we already know, if that makes sense. It's not like we all of a sudden put it together with Newcastle and certain player stuff that would have good performances, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But I guess the positive to take from it is it's just confirming that so many of these players don't have it. And it doesn't matter who they play, how they play. And it's going to take a lot for us to, truthfully, it's going to take a lot for us to finish in the top 10. For real.
It will. Yeah.
I think the way that we've seen this squad playing, we are where we want to be, or not where we want to be. We are where we are because we deserve to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is we're not going to be able to make any moves in January. So it's we'll fucking see.
We're with all the issues that we've seen between Spurs and United, my light at the end of the tunnel is way closer than your guys.
At the same time, if we would have won today, we're above you.
Right.
That's what's crazy.
It just sucks. I think that there's we can sit here from our armchairs and say that they're not good enough, but I will say, Amarim has to have a ton of resilience in this season because he's going to get absolutely hammered the next 7 months.
This is English media's best case scenario.
They have clicks for the rest of the season, but
forever. And they bait him too. They bait him. The guy in that post game interview asked him 3 separate times in 3 different ways if he was going to change his style or formation, and he was like, "I know what you're trying to get at. Again, I'm not going to change."
Yeah, and it just that weighs on you,
Awfully
and you're
awfully stubborn of him, if you ask me, man. Sometimes you just got to adjust how you play. So
sometimes you just have to inch past Congo.
And then when you do, you did, like Spurs did against Wolves, you drop points, and then it's his fault again.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Amarim came out and said there's nothing worse than changing your style and then losing again. Yeah. He's that makes it doubly worse. With as much weird shit that's going on with Ineos, I have a huge fear that they're going to sack Amarim before the end of the season.
That'd be insane, dude.
Bro, he's only speaking the way he is about not changing his style, just like Tim Howard said after the game, because he knows he has time.
Yeah. But dude,
he knows he has time.
Here's the deal, though. We're not going to win against Liverpool. We are not going to win against Arsenal. I know that. So it's there's 6 points right there. But let's say we get to the end of January. FA Cup. Yeah, But what happens when we get to the end of January and the run of games still hasn't improved? No one has come in the front door, and we're still not.
The only thing that's going to help us is the fact that the fixture schedule definitely goes you're not playing 10 or 3 games in 10 days when it comes to January, March, February. He said it, openly says it. You got to think about it. They've barely had 3-4 days to train in a row since he's taken over. period.
Yeah.
And you want to say, how do we switch to a 3-4-3 in a situation some guys may get, some guys may not get, and have everybody understand it? And yes, you think that some of these guys are high IQ footballers. And I do think Diego Dello is, when we talk about him at right back, but as a left back, he can't fucking do the job. He just can't. He can't fucking do the job. He can defensively be okay, but he can't do the job. And I'm not going to blame Amram for that, but like, who the fuck else is he supposed to put out there?
Dude, he has to
think, who are you going to play there?
He has to feel like Malacia is so bad. You know,
he was at his peak. And Malacia at his peak was a Luke Shaw backup to fill in for games when we played the Carabao Cup. And he's back healthy. That was him healthy. That was him before the injury.
Yeah.
And now he's back healthy, and he's worse than a guy that needs to play against fucking Twittersfield Town in the middle of fucking England and on a Wednesday. Like,
yeah, it's not good. I mean, we got to find a way to do a deal for someone, you know.
Twittersfield Town. I'm taking that. I like that one.
I genuinely don't even think maybe we don't even have the money to do the buyback clause for Alvaro Fernandez, which is only like 15 million. Maybe we don't even have the money to do that. But
we're cutting Christmas bonuses. 25% of the staff have been fired. Like, they're fucking cutting money everywhere.
And this is the thing. In I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. It's so fucking frustrating when a year and a half, 2 years ago, we had an offer from Qatar on the table to do a complete buyout of the Manchester United team, clearing all the debt, new stadium, all that stuff. And we said no. And now we have to lay in the bed that we made by taking on Ineos.
Moral
fucking
victory.
Sucks.
Moral victory. Well, you can wear
Fucking
that one.
Sucks.
Moral victory,
God
baby.
damn it. So the fixtures are going to continue to come hard and fast over the next little bit before we get a little bit of reprieve. Pause. A little bit of reprieve towards the end of January, heading into February. But as we
I'll still be here every Monday, fellas. Doesn't matter when. Still be here.
I'll still be here, bro. But as we are officially halfway through the Premier League season, it's time for us to visit our team of the season so far. And we're just going to go position by position here. We can stake a claim for if there's some debate, but let's just go through it. So, Hoove, do you want to start us off with who you have in the goalkeeping position?
Yeah, I guess. And this is the only one I'll concede because, frankly, there's not been a ton of great goalkeepers. I think Raya is just out and out right now with the defense, the back line that they have. That's when they're healthy, and most elite have been healthy. He's doing his job better than the rest. I do think his job's easier than most of them, but I think that in itself is just all you can really say. And, good distribution, great shot stopper, consistent, right? Like, at the end of the day, his consistency is better than most, and that's about all I got for you.
He's also made big improvements from last year with that consistency. Best thing you can say about a goalkeeper is when you don't talk about him. And, people haven't really been talking about Raya all season, when last year there was all of the circus of the back and forth with Ramsdale. I also had Raya written down, but I do want to give a shout, and I could also be convinced if other people want to make a shout for it, is Kelleher from Liverpool. Allison's been injured the majority of the season, and Kelleher's really stepped up and played really well. Continued to take that team to the top of the table, and I've been really impressed with him as I've watched him play. But I wanted to give a shout out to him as well.
Who's the only other one? And this was just pure stat on FOTMob reading.
That Forest cat.
Matt Sells.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Has the most clean sheets in the league, above Raya, above Pickford.
Was almost Onana though.
I know, and I can't give enough information about him to really give much of a push for him. But
I can't say when Forest play I'm particularly paying attention to.
Wow, their goalkeeper's great. Yeah, but that stat in itself on a defensive team, who let up a lot of shots.
I think he's up there. I think he's up there in save percentage too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's way up there.
I don't even think he's played the entire year for them. Has he?
I have no idea. I got no idea. But I did see that on FOTMob too, that I think that, anytime that you have someone performing that way is massive. But I want to call out again, I forgot to mention this during the United segment, but Casemiro was the highest rated player on Manchester United today, courtesy of FotMob, and that was like the worst display I've ever seen.
Missed the sitter and put another one in the 55th row.
Dude, it's fucking insane. If United finished their chances, we could have been 2-2 easily at half, and then whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. So,
no. Yeah. I really, really want to keep talking about that game.
Yeah, for real. David Raya, lock it in.
That's all I had.
Yeah. He's our goalkeeper so far. Moving on to the right back. I'm assuming that we're going a 4-3-3. I should say this.
Yeah.
Did anyone not do a 4-3-3? Dobes? Okay.
The 4-3-3.
I actually did a 4-1-4-1-5. No, what did I do?
Math.
4-1-5 with 3 right wingers.
Oh, great. Pep regen. You just go this and you go fucking this. You go
tactics.
Right back. Wings. Who do you have? Ben White. Let's fucking go.
Well, I know you guys would have been mad if I put him, so I didn't.
Same, actually.
But no, so I have 2 positions on here where I have 2 players because I couldn't make a decision. And even between these 2, I could make an argument for a couple others. But right back, I have Trent.
Ooh, not a bad shout.
Yeah, and then
the Real Madrid player.
Yeah, it's weird. I think one of them is more offensive focused, so I think as a manager, it just depends on the style you want to play, obviously. But I have Trent on the offensive side, and then this Kenny Tet dude.
Fulham.
Yeah, I think Fulham's wing backs have been disgusting, but defensively, especially, they're both
also
ballers,
worth mentioning. Butch did throw out his 11 to us as well, so I think we should chip him because he had Raya, but
so I think I've got an offensive.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay.
Sindoberson, what about you at the right back position?
You guys want to know what's funny? When I was Googling this and trying to look this up earlier. You know who? I can't think of that website. It's like one of those stats websites. They had Ashley Young as their second highest ranked in the league. Yeah, in the league.
Let's go.
What's he like? 36?
I know that he's playing his 18-year-old son in the FA Cup. They got drawn against. It was so awesome.
But I just feel like he's been in the league for so long.
Which is super cool.
I mean, look at it. He's 39 years old. I mean, it's tough to go against Trent, to be honest with you. I think Trent has taken not a step forward, I would say, but I just think that Liverpool's been the most consistent, and he always seems to be at the heart of assists, making them tick. It's really tough because did you clarify? Are we doing 3 from each team, max?
No. And that's who I had, and that's who Butch had. I think you'll see maybe a little bit of a theme with some of my picks here.
That's who I had too.
The Nottingham Forest defense is really good, man. They're really good, and they're solid and consistent, and that's their entire basis. You look at the rest of their offensive stat. Mm-hmm. Yes, Chris Wood has 12 goals or 11 goals or something, but the rest of that attacking team has tops 6 goal contributions on the year. So that defensive structure is exceptional. And I think, frankly, for just what I've been able to watch and what I've seen stats-wise, he's been super solid and not necessarily, world beater. I think Trent's probably a better right back, but that was my shout for sure. And that was for sure when I was thinking that we were doing max 3 players from a team. But I liked him. I did have Mazraoui with a question mark there, but it's kind of hard at this point to defend anyone on United. But it's it's a situation where he's been one of the best performers on a poor team. And same with Amad Diallo. Yeah. You can see the player that they have in him, and he's played 90 minutes 3 times in 10 days.
Or these last 3 games, I probably
that's a natural,
to be honest.
But I'm good with Aina, or I'm good with Trent too. Frankly, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, solid. Yep.
Yeah, I had Aina too. I really like watching him play.
Let's go Aina. He's
pretty saucy. He gives me Marcelo vibes on the right side, and
that's a compliment.
Yeah, it's a huge compliment. Not many players play like that, and he does.
I'm in.
He just seems like a really good vibes guy too, which I love. So,
I think we'll go with him then.
Yeah, because Butchie had him too.
Yeah, so 3-2, but I'm also more than happy to quickly pivot and change my answer to anybody but a Liverpool player. So
let's do Aina then.
Let's go Aina at right back.
My 2 center backs, I had the exact same 2 as Butchie. Yep. I had Virgil van Dijk and Gabriel. Van Dijk, obviously, I don't think there's any debate on that one. But Gabriel, my reason is not only the defensive solid, like how solid he's been, but chipping in on the offensive side of things as well. You know, when you're playing for set pieces, like Arsenal do, he's getting on the end of a lot of them. So I think that the two-way presence there is just something that we don't see a lot from center backs, and it kind of trumps all the other only solid defensive players. So those my 2 picks.
Come on.
That's who I had too.
I'm good with that. I got a shout from Murillo from Forest again.
So fun, dude.
I think he's been so good.
5, 6.
I think the one thing that it's the Gabriel versus him. I think that Gabriel has how many goals he had this season? 4.
Dude. There's a couple,
5 or 6.
4 or 5 in the Prem. I think that's might be the difference, but I do think that we at least got to mention him for sure because he's been fantastic.
Come to fruition
Murillo has the Rudiger thing where he'll pull up from anywhere.
And the quick
he'll shoot anywhere inside of 45 yards.
I had Murillo, and then I had Milenkovic, their other center back. Again, there's back line, and the repairing's been solid, but Murillo has the most clearances in the league by a decent margin at 109.
Yeah.
That's nothing to shake a stick at. And I'm agreeing on the sense that Gabriel's just a physical presence in the air, both on both sides of the ball. But yeah, I definitely wanted his name thrown out there as a potential. Yep. This one's going to be easy.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Oh.
How do you pronounce the dude's name from Bournemouth? The 19-year-old
Kirkes?
I'm not saying he is not. No, the center back. Hoyson, or however you say it.
Fucking Dean. Yeah. There was
I think he's sick.
There's one of those TikTok accounts that just know way too much ball, that literally in the off season in the summer this year made a whole TikTok compilation about watch out for this guy. And I remember watching it being that's so fucking random. That's so weird. In the first couple games of the season for Bournemouth, he didn't do anything at all. And then I think he's just figured it out and found his form. He's 19 years old playing center back and just balling.
The most English looking Spanish dude.
Yeah. Shout out to Dean, bro. Shout out Dean. The chill guy. Left back. I think we might have
Robinson.
Okay.
Oh, I had Andy Robertson.
Easy.
Oh, wrong
I'm
one.
No. Anthony Jedi Robinson. He's been so good. The only thing missing from his toolkit going into this season was the captain's armband, and he's got it this season, and he is living up to it every step of the way. It's been so fun.
A healthy left wrist would be great too.
Yeah, it's just part of the vibes now. Part of it.
He's Benzema. He's Jamie Vardy.
Yeah. Broken hand forever. Okay, so the midfield 3, it's gonna be really, really, really tough, and I want you to give all 3 of them at the same time because I think if we try to debate each position, it's going to take too long. But the midfield 3,
I'm going to throw.
You got to choose 3. You got to choose 3. You can't do 5.
You go.
Well, I'll go. I'll go with my 3 while you're debating. So my first one is Ryan Gravenberch. I think he is not
only been for sure.
Not only
he's also the only
best
semi-defensive midfielder that I picked at all.
Influential midfielder,
so it would be good for the shake
in the Premier League this season. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's where I disagree because the sitting right next to him in the double pivot is Moises Caicedo. Yeah. He could have also been a shout at the right back position if I wanted to sneak in another center midfielder into this 11, but Caicedo has been great. every step of the way. He's been great. And my last of the midfield three is Cole Palmer playing in the cam.
I'll read the players that I have listed, and then I'll revert
this
back
formation
to
is
what
so
I think
fun,
my top three are.
That's the beauty of
Cole
this.
Palmer is
we can
pretty
argue.
simple lock for me.
Easy.
Goal contribution-wise, and the way that he literally makes Chelsea run, they would be a shell of themselves without him, I think. That's easy. I'm absolutely cool with Gravenberg. Great player. Clear, an exceptional technical ability, and helps them tick as well. My three other that I listed, one, maybe two are subjective. I've got Morgan Rogers, Declan Kulusevski, and James Madison. And I think that's a weird one because Kulusevski doesn't have the goal involvements that I would say need to be on a team of the season halfway through, record, but his influence, if you watch at all, is exceptional. And the Matters isn't even starting right now, but he has the most goals on Spurs. He's got 12 goal involvements. He's still really, really good on a team that's really, really mid. And I think that stands out and says a lot about his play. The only one I would fight for, I think, would be Matters, but Rogers is so fun to watch, dude. And he's not doing his output really isn't the same either. But every once in a while, you see something crazy hot out of the kid. Like, he's a baller.
Yeah. And I think for me, so Butchie had James Madison as well.
Right.
He had Gravenberch, Cole Palmer, and James Madison. For me, the reason why I didn't feel like I could put Madison in is because he's not a consistent starter. Like within his own 11, he can't do that. And then Kulusevski, love watching that guy play. But then you look at those stats, it's not always there. So I don't know. Those are two really good shouts, and I could see it. But I don't know, man.
I had all of those. I had Rogers. The three that I picked was the thing with the front three for me. When we're going to get there, it's just where to put Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is in the team this season without a doubt. It was more so, could I put him as a winger or something like that to slide somebody else in? I think if I were to have to pick my three, and obviously we can decide, I think it'd be Caicedo, Gravenberch, and Cole Palmer's the 10.
Yeah.
But I did want to shout Morgan Rogers. It might just be
awesome.
It might just be recency bias of what he's done over the past couple of weeks, but he's so fucking
honorable.
Dude, I'd be cool with Morgan Rogers being our young player of the season so far. Not that we even came prepped for that, but this is his first year. I just think he's been great. Wings, what'd you have in the middle?
Yeah, so
at Party and
Jorginho.
No, my first lock was Ethan Wanyeri.
And Emil Smith Rowe right next to him.
No, I had my list on my screen here. I have Gravenberch, Matters / Kulu, and then Cole Palmer. But I'm very okay with the Caicedo shout here, and I agree with why you didn't pick either Spurs player, and I'm ecstatic at your reasonings. So I just feel like it probably makes more sense to go with two CDMs here.
There's a lot of guys that I really like watching play right now, but I don't think I could have a team of the season so far without Caicedo and Gravenberch in it, and then
he's got to be the
Cole
10
Palmer.
in that.
He's a lock in this team, but I think the right winger for me is even more of a lock. So it's I don't know.
Fine.
Yeah. I'm not going to play Cole Palmer at the striker as the left wing because he doesn't play those positions. So
yeah, I think he's more influential.
I think for the reasons you said though, Hoove, I probably would have picked Kulusevski over Matters, even though they're both nails. And I know early on in the season, one of the earlier pods when after the first handful of games when you talked about him, fully blew it off. Partially because of my team bias, but also I just didn't see it, and I'll eat that one. He's extremely influential to that team. So I think if we were to go with, two more attacking midfielders versus the defensive, I probably would plug him in.
Yeah, that's fine.
Love the Morgan Rogers.
Stupid, but it's fine.
I'm cool with Gravenberch, Caicedo, and Palmer.
Move Salah. Should we get the other lock out of the way? Our right winger. Flannery, that's for you, brother. Doesn't pass the eye test. And for those of you who don't know what the eye test is, which apparently half of our group chat does not.
Here's my eye test.
It means people that when you watch them,
you're allowed
they
to watch
don't,
a player and understand
they're shit,
that he is
just when you watch them.
unbelievable.
They're just not a good
also
watch.
allowed to watch other players that are more maybe fun to watch. Is he better than Dimitar Berbatov? Yes. Is he better than Hazard was at Chelsea? I think yes. Did I like watching those two players more than I like watching Mo Salah? Yes. I don't think that's that wild of a concept for me to throw out. He's incredible. He's unplayable right now. He's the clear Ballon d'Or.
Yeah. You can think a guy is good and
front
not
runner.
like watching him play.
If you really at the end of the day, I'm going to give him all of these flowers because I am understanding and I've come to throw my bias away that he's one of the best right wingers in Premier League history. Done. Said it. You're welcome. Dimitar Berbatov is the man. We're seeing clips of him years later of the things that he was doing on a football pitch, and it was way more fun.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that when Butch or Flan weren't on here to take that in.
I don't think Flan understands the eye test thing. Bro,
that whole thing was so. And I was texting Sean on the side too. So shout out Sean. Shout out Sean if he listens. But eye test is the most subjective thing in the entire world, man.
Yeah.
I like watching him play, but his stats are good. Both can be true.
Listeners, I threw out a comment in the Mecca of Banter group chat months ago that Mo Salah fails the eye test. Just a simple share, and that has been because Mo Salah has gone on to score or assist in every fucking game of the season so far. Every single time he does anything, we get Flannery texting saying "Oh, the failed eye test scores again. The failed eye test gets an assist again," and it all popped off yesterday.
Even so, going back to that game, he made this really, really great 40, 50-yard run with the ball surrounded by defenders. Watching that video back, there was a comment on Twitter that made me laugh so hard. It's Mo Salah was arguing with the ball the entire run. And it was so controlled, and I'm not doubting any of the control and the skill and the ability that took him to take those 40 yards. And he was just moving his feet really fast and awkwardly making chops, and the ball was rolling everywhere, and he had it under control.
Some people do just look like that.
It was just funny. It was just funny. And then he found the right pass, and it got tucked away. I get it. Amazing player. Amazing. Unplayable. But
it looked quite terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that because I did not watch the game because I don't give a fuck about
Liverpool. Are disgusting.
But I did see that video today.
I'll give them all the flowers.
The exact same thing. I was the failed eye test is consistently bad. It sucks. Yeah. It's like any day of the week, I would rather watch a 37-year-old Thiago come out of retirement and drop into that midfield and do 3 flicks than watch Mo Salah. Yeah. But anyway, he's a right wing lock. Good for him. Okay, let's get into the left wing position. This one will be interesting. Yeah, this one's going to be interesting. Who do you have?
I went with Saka, but I don't know how we want to do our formation. I don't know if we're going strictly out and out right winger, or left wingers, right wingers.
I try to stick to this, but I understand.
Rogue Shout and another one of those teams that is overperforming what anyone would have expected.
Ooh.
And a player that is a hugely massive contributor on that team in an out-and-out left-wing position. And I didn't think necessarily that I would get him in based on this argument, but looking at what we had available, that position I think is the least deep in the league. And I thought that he would be a really good shout. Also, Rogue Shout, Alex Iwobi. Don't think that either of them necessarily are that guy.
That's a nice little shout there.
I don't know.
So we got Ashley Young at right back, and we got Alex Iwobi at the left wing position.
Dice ball, baby. Dice ball.
Yeah, dice ball, baby. No, I like those thought processes for sure for those positions. I agree with you also that this is probably like the least deep position in the Prem. There's going to be Liverpool fans in the comments being like, Luis Diaz has a shout there because he's been relentless in that position, or even Gakpo getting in a shout there. But I went with Cunha as well.
14 goals and assists for Cunha, man.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, prove the exact same logic Cunha that you had for Matters and Kulusevski about doing it in a team that's not as good. Wolves is, again, relegation battle going on. So, like, and he's so good. I mean, that touch he had against United where he brought the ball down out of the air and just Cruyffed it out of the air.
I texted you guys this. I was sitting in Madison watching that game. I just go, oh, fuck.
Yeah, dude. I did the same thing. I was like watching it. Paige was in the other room. And I was just like, oh. And she's like, whoa. And I was like, I should have seen the touch.
What are you watching at?
You have to be playing with the utmost amount of confidence to be able to do that
I'm good with
his own half,
easy.
too.
Yeah. It just didn't give a fuck. Like he's just playing with all the freedom. So, yeah, I like Cunha in that position.
And his stats are rivaling.
I put Saka as well, but
Saka's got more for sure, but
keeping
it's just more impressive on Wolves. Like, there's no way it can't be.
Yeah, they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Saka has one more goal and assist than Cunha.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, Saka's not going to make it into if we're staying true to the formation, Saka's not going to make it in this list until Salah kind of does his thing and says see ya. So last but not least, we have the striker position, which is also a very interesting position because normally we're used to filling this with Haaland easily, and it hasn't been that way this year. There's you brought it up earlier, Hoof, but Chris Wood is in with like 11 goals right now or whatever it is. Like, he's been having a shout. There's a lot of guys performing really well, but
I don't even think it's recent.
Recency bias.
I think if you're going to compare him and Chris Wood,
he just dunked on us.
He is
Alexander Isak.
Considerably more of a complete footballer than Chris Wood. And Chris Wood's a great striker. Big head in the box, finishes a lot of aerial battles, but so does Isak. And Isak will pick it up 20 yards deep, find himself floating out to the right, swing into the middle, and then boom, goal. Like, his fluidity with that team is insane.
Yeah. Dude, he picked it up on the left wing today and dribbled around four guys and cut it inside. And I was like, we're watching fucking Thierry Henry in 2024. I mean, it is disgusting how fluid Isak is on the ball. So
I'm so happy that it's not Haaland and his fucking 4 passes completed in the past year and a half. It's weird. It's amazing. It's like we're actually like sitting here just being like, soccer's more than goals, for the first time. And Isak he does have the goals and assists too, but is also just a 10 times better footballer than Haaland is.
Me too.
I mean, even at the beginning of the game today, he tried to chip Onana and it came off miserably. It did not work.
I thought he was going to bury that far post.
Yeah,
we've seen him do it so many times.
And he's dribbling the ball, and
the
you're
fact
like,
that
what's going to happen?
Go down,
you're excited to see what he does. So
because that,
I don't know.
Vicario's on the floor good 4 seconds before he takes that shot. So, Winks.
Yeah,
that's insane. So Isak, is that how we're rounding us out?
Yeah, I had him. It was no contest for me.
The future Arsenal man.
Can't wait,
dude. I
would love that.
He's actually had a really interesting career path.
Just
Isak
keep riding
has.
Havertz, man. It's gonna be fine.
You're good.
Sign another center back to play wing back.
Winks, did you get the full list down?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you want to share it with?
I'll read it back. Yep. All right, in net we have David Raya, right back Aina, center backs are VVD and Gabriel. Left back we have Jedi Anthony Robinson. You said Robertson earlier. Now that's in my head.
That fucked you up.
I just read it wrong. Ryan Gravenberch, Moises Caicedo,
that
and
team's
Cole
disgusting.
Palmer in the middle. Mo Salah on the right, Cunha on the left, and Mr. Alexander Isak up top.
That'd just be a fun team to watch. It'd be such a fun team to watch. Special shout out to the boys. This is the first time in the history of this podcast that we have not had a City player in the team of the season conversation.
I love it so much.
And a City player also wasn't even brought up in discussion, which is crazy. So
Krupp would want Grealish to play the 10 to just run everything, dude.
Yeah, dude. Get Cole Palmer out of there.
He'll run everything. He may run that somewhere else.
Play him more.
He may run that somewhere else in less than a month.
Who fucking knows? Well, gentlemen, that wraps us up for tonight's podcast. Listeners, congratulations on making it through 2024. Happy New Year. I hope you spend it with some people that you love. Thanks for listening along for as long as you have. Invite you to check us out on the social medias, Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. As the MLS season is kind of getting underway here in the next couple of weeks, we'll be getting back up and running with the St. Louis City information. So until then, Happy New Year and cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, boys.